it's like to have a career as a realtor, or in the real estate industry, and how I got my license, what all I had to go through to get my license. And
Hello, hello. My name is Elias, and again, we're here with the Living Sensibly Podcast. I hope you're excited. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Thaddaeus Owens.
Owen.
Am I right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it right
Yep.
this time. Yes, and he's going to be speaking a little bit about what we are going to expect on Monday. But before we start that, we want to know, who are you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my name's Thaddaeus Owen. I'm with a realty group in town called the Elm Group. And so Monday, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but talk about real estate things. But that's what I do for a career. But yeah, I guess you have any specific things that you want me to share about who I am?
No, it's just mainly in general. Did you grow up in this area?
Yeah, so I grew up in Gackle, North Dakota. So it's up by Jamestown, tiny town, 300 people. So graduated class of 12. So
Wow.
yes,
Wow,
the
that's
whole
much
school is
smaller
probably
than
about as
mine.
big as this school. Yeah. So so I grew up there, and then I came to NDSU in 2012,
Okay.
and been in Fargo ever since. Then.
Wow. Never felt the necessity to move back?
Not to Gackle. No,
Nah.
no.
It's too small
It's
of
a
a
little too
town?
small.
Okay,
Yeah, a little
okay.
too small. I like being around a lot of people, and just there's more things to do in a city like Fargo. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a good city to be in.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. If you didn't know, Tad is married
I am.
to our dear Miss Owens.
Yep.
She is a teacher here too, and yeah, you get to see her when we get to interview her as well.
Yeah.
But today we get Sir Owens.
Mr.
here.
Owen. Yeah.
Miss
we-
Owens. I was gonna go serious stuff. Anyway, yeah. So let's get serious here.
Sure.
First question I have for you,
Yeah.
and as part of the series Origins, I have to ask, how did you come to learn about the school?
Yeah. So the school, I go to church with Amos Tarfa. So the founder of the school, we go to church together. And so we're in his home group on Wednesday nights, and
Oh,
he's been
nice.
kind of casting vision for the school for a little while. And then he pitched the position to my wife, and she teaches the upper elementary grades here, and some geography classes. So she's my current connection, I guess, to the school, but I know a lot of people here, and so yeah, she teaches that full time, and then I once a week will come in on Wednesdays for about an hour, and then I teach the Phi Ed portion of the school, I guess. So just about an hour, just get kids active and out and about, getting moving, learn some sports and activities. So that's my current affiliation with the school too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. That's really, really good. I myself knew Amos because of the school.
Sure.
Because through the school, but also through the church.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it has been fun just getting to know him and know how the school is going, get to participate in that.
Yeah.
That's been awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things I do have to ask you
Mhm.
is, what are some of your thoughts on education? Since we are all about education.
Sure. Yeah, that's a broad question. So I guess my thoughts on education, things that I'm passionate about in education are teaching things that the students can apply right away. And so my degree in college was physical and health education, so I have an education background as well. A lot of the pull was to that was getting people active, getting people them doing lifelong sports and activities that they can just have that outlet for health and wellness through sports, and then also the health side of it, teaching diet education, and I guess there's a lot of things that come with health, with whole health stuff. So I like the applicable side of where we get to put what we learn into action with that, and that also I guess translates to real estate too, of teaching people big life issues of how to buy a house, how to finance a house. Just the whole process of that. And so that's why I like the school here too, where it really challenges people to, being a STEM school, to just challenge the way you think, and then from that put it into practice, and a lot of discovery-based learning, things like that. So I'm definitely I like the discovery-based learning, and I like how these schools give an outlet for that. And that there's a time and a place. Like Amos loves the science and physics and math and all that stuff, and I don't use any of it, but I love the people that do, and it's really fun to see people passionate like him do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. So you spoke about like a practicability of education.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that people touch and everything.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something that you're doing right now, which is real estate.
Yep.
Real estate. How did you discover that passion? Like, did it start in high school, middle school, college, later on in life? How
Yeah.
did it start? How did you get to real estate?
Yeah. Real estate came later in life. And so, yeah, I was graduated with my degrees in physical and health education, and then did a bunch of substitute teaching, paraprofessional work for that for a while. And then I took a little hiatus and did some missions work overseas as well, and educating about other things I'm passionate about in the gospel as well. So there was that side of teaching, and then came back from that and was trying to teach full-time and couldn't get a full-time teaching job, so was just doing the paraprofessional work, and then was just trying to figure out, do I just keep grinding and hope to find a place in the education system, or do I make a career change? And I stumbled into the guy that recruited me to real estate randomly at a coffee shop. We had worked together in college at the YMCA doing some education things there, and he's a former education major as well, and he kind of went through what I was going through. He had just done it a few years before me. And so we just sat over coffee, and he's just like, hey, if you want a career change, I'm hiring somebody to work for me in real estate. He worked at a realtor company in town here, and was going to he's looking for somebody to help him out showing houses. And so then I was just like, oh, that's such a career change. I'm like, I don't know anything about real estate. I have zero background in it, and I don't even know if I want to do that. But he just shared about some just opportunity doing it. And then him coming from education, he's just like, Thad, we're educating people every day. Like, we're educating people on how to make big life decisions, how to steward their finances, how to find a home where they can grow a family or just have fun in college too with our other roommates. So there's just like a lot of life opportunities, and he's like, you're always every day you're having an educational conversation. And so that started me thinking about, okay, I could have that outlet of teaching, I could have that outlet of education in a very serious and awesome, joyful, and sometimes I guess painful if it's a sad reason to move, but just a very emotional filled decision. And so I just thought about it some more and was like, okay, teaching wasn't working. I applied to like 8 different schools and didn't get a single one. So I was like, you know what? I guess those doors are closed, and this one just opened up. So, so then I dove in and started to get my license, and got hired on to the company in town, and had been there for about 2.5 years and a little over that. And then just a few months ago, left with the same guy, Tyler, who recruited me. We started our own team now, and so it was about 8 of us that we just started a new company. So it's been quite the journey. That's kind of a highlight, 30,000 foot summary. But anyway, that's how I got education, education into real estate, I guess. So it was never really a long term. I grew up thinking I was going to be a realtor. I needed a career change, and was just like, where can I put my skills and skills into a good place, and it happened to be real estate. So, yeah.
Like, do you have second thoughts? Like you said, you're like, I don't even know. I didn't even know if this would be a good fit.
Yeah. I had a lot of second thoughts, I guess. Yeah, I was just like, I've had a lot of different odds and ends jobs, so I figured, well, let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it's another experience to put in the belt, and then we'll have to reconsider then, and kind of have, I guess, my education degree as a fallback if I need to, and, if it didn't succeed. And but it's been going good, and don't see myself jumping back into the school system fully to teach that side of things. I'll just keep diving in here. So definitely nerve-wracking at times, especially when I first started, I had a salary and a commission, but then last year was my first full year where I had no salary. I was straight commission, so it was no consistent paycheck. And since I survived that 1 year, I was like, I can do it again, And so, it's hard in the seasons like winter when not as many people want to buy. And so, but, there's abundance in the summers. And so you just got to steward and save up well. So for these harder seasons. Yeah.
I mean, I think that is hard.
Yeah.
I remember myself while applying for internships elsewhere before Amos got me to be here. There were some of the financial jobs, because I'm coming from a business background at college. Some of the jobs were commission based.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I don't make enough? I'm
Yeah.
gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you telling me that you survived a whole year,
Yeah.
not a month,
Yeah.
but a whole year.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
So
Well, a
yeah.
lot of thanks to my wife working at the school. She gets a consistent paycheck, and so marriage is a economic benefit in that sense,
Ooh.
where we could, even if I didn't get a paycheck, her pay was enough to pay our necessity bills. So that's we're thankful for that. Thank you, Amos, for the school, and well, shout out to you.
We praise God.
Yeah.
We
Amen.
praise God.
Amen.
Indeed, marriage is a good thing.
Marriage is a good thing.
Yeah, we often think of marriage as being like something to be avoided, but it's actually a good thing. Like save your life.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Economic safety, emotional safety. There's a lot of good blessings in it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So in that career change, you changed from education to real estate, and you still find a way to incorporate some of your education skills into real estate.
For sure.
So now in the realm of real estate, what is what is that you usually do like on your day to day?
Yeah. So I'm a licensed realtor. So home buying. It's a good question, 'cause there's a lot of avenues you can be in real estate in. So, but my main job is realtor. So, I'd say my specialty is with the home buying side, mainly with first-time home buyers. That's where a lot of my past clients have been, is first-time home buyers. And those are where I love those conversations that I have with those people that are starting to ask those questions of, what do I need to buy a house? Like, am I able to? Do I have enough finances? What's the timeline like? They go from having no idea to, wow, this is a possibility. And I love having those conversations to show that it's a possibility for a lot of people who maybe don't think it is. So my specialty area, I would say, is in buying and first-time home buying, but I have a lot of experience with second homes, third homes as well. And then this last year started to get more educated and more qualified in listing and selling homes as well. So I have a team, so I'm learning and shadowing them all the time on when it comes to selling and listing your house. A little trickier to navigate than just bring a buyer to a house. It's a lot more negotiation tactics and pricing your house correctly and stuff like that. So a lot of realtors will jump in too quick on trying to list a house and sell it. So taking my time to make sure I know it all as much as I can and stuff. So so I do buying and selling. I help with investors as well to do investment properties. So kind of, if you're buying or selling anything residential, fourplex or less, you can do sixplex and eightplex, I think. I don't really dabble with those as much.
What do those words mean? Eight places.
8 would be like 8 units in one building, and so it's like an apartment building.
Okay.
And so you buy a building that has, usually a fourplex is like, a duplex would be 1 unit on top, 1 unit on bottom. A fourplex would be like 2 on top, 2 on bottom. 6 would be 3 and 3. Eightplex would be 4 and 4. You just kind of keep going. Okay. The big apartment buildings, or like a big dorm, is probably going to be like a 24plex or a 36plex, or some dorms are probably even bigger than that. But those start to get a lot more into the commercial realm, and I don't do that much of the commercial side of things right now. Maybe down the road as I continue my education, but I'm going to specialize in the niche that I have with buyers and sellers of residential family. So.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
What drives you when you're there? Like, what's your mindset like when you get to the desk and you gotta do your job? Like, what drives you?
Sure. There's a lot of different factors. I guess the first one is, who can I help? Who's the next person I can help? Do I know anybody that is maybe a season where they're gonna be buying or selling, and I want to be able to help them, because they might. There's a lot of really good realtors out there, but there's also some that maybe aren't so good, and so it's what I want my friends working with somebody who isn't going to treat them right or isn't going to educate them right. So I want to get in front of them to save them from a bad experience like that. And so asking those questions of, who can I help next? The other side of things is, it's super simple, but I just got to pay the bills, so yeah. But
I make the money.
Yeah, right. It's honestly, it's like, my wife and I's goals right now is to pay off our debt. I have some college debt I need to pay off, and still, and so there's this simple motivation of get ahead on debt, and just get ourselves financially stable in our first year of marriage here as well. And then we have some really cool dreams, long-term dreams. I think it's good to. Yeah, that's you. I think it's cool to be, think where do we want this to go? Because if we just pay off our debt, and all of a sudden we've made it to that point, and we go, oh, what's next? So having that, well, what is this paying off debt going to help us accomplish? And so I think just reminding ourselves that we want to be able to be a huge blessing to other people. We talked a little in the car, about the dreams of just giving stuff away, giving cars away someday to people in need. And so, I think just having that mindset of who can we help next, not just in real estate, but just in life. There's a lot of helping, a lot of hurting people need help in this world. And we want to be a light in this community. And so, that's us going overseas as mission, doing some missions work. We both share that passion. And so this real estate can be a stepping stone to help us get there. Like a big part of it is getting investments of my own, starting to build that, so then we can help sustain some missions work. And even if we don't go overseas, that we can use those finances to help support those that are overseas, or in other hard to reach places, even in America, and churches and stuff. So there's a lot of little motivations. So I guess in summary, it's the who can I help next? Got to pay the bills, and let's start preparing the way for our dreams, and those things. So yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. And people out there, you're hearing from him, right? He's an expert on it. I'm not yet. Maybe one of those days I'll get there. But sure. Another question I have for you: what kind of advice would you give the students or people out there, or even adults who are listening and they perhaps want to get into real estate business? What kind of advice do you have for them?
That's a good question. I would say get a mentor, get somebody who has been doing this for a few years, doesn't have to have, crazy longevity of experience, but, know that your mentor is constantly learning, is going to take time to pour into you, and just always be a learner yourself. 'Cause I didn't just take classes for the real estate courses and then be like, sweet, excuse me, I'm an expert, I got it. Like it was, at the time, it was 45 hours of coursework is all I needed to get my license. And then pass a few tests. They've since upped it, so now it's 90 hours, which it's still not that much in the grand scheme of things to start handling legal transactions, like in negotiating some really, really heavy stuff. So 90 hours is still, I would say, not enough to become an expert. It's enough to get licensed, but that's where the company that I was with was excellent at training and developing. Tyler, the guy that I was working with that hired me on, was one of the best in the business for sure. The top realtors in the country. Does first couple of years. The first year I worked with him, I think we did 130 transactions together. And the average realtor nationally does about 8 deals a year. So average is 8, and we have the stats to prove this. I'm not just ballooning a number here. It was about 120 or 130 deals. So he's doing the negotiations, and I'm running around doing all the showings for the houses and stuff, so we could run really, really fast together. And it was definitely a team effort. So we did over 100 deals our first 2 years together, and he slowed down a little bit last year, just to take a step back and not run so hard. But I say that not to necessarily brag about, look at all we've done, but to say that's a lot of experience. Like, it's a lot of opportunities. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of questions that have been asked. And I would say the biggest advice I would say is don't act like you always have the right answer, or you have to have the right answer. Be willing to find the right answer. Because someone asked me a question that I don't have an answer to, I'm not going to make something up, because someone's life decision is being based off of my answer. A lot of times I always say, do some research on your own, or talk to an expert when it comes to some of these financing things, or like a foundation issue. Talk to the expert in those areas. And if you don't know where to talk to or who to talk to, let me help you find that person. So my job is to really find the answers for you. And so I think that's advice I would give somebody that's coming into the industry, is don't act like you have all the answers, or just don't feel like you have to have all the answers right away. Just know where to go look for those answers and stuff. So I go to my team all the time. We're always messaging. We have a group chat where we're like, hey, has anyone come across this? Can you give me a call? And then we help each other out and stuff like that. So that's kind of my biggest advice. And be patient. I think it was 6 months before I had my first deal.
Wow.
You know, so again, that's 6 months. Thankfully, at the time, I had a salary for running around showing houses.
Yeah.
But it took about 6 months, and I only had 2 deals my first year, and so it was very, very slow snowball. But had about 14 last year, and you know, hopefully that keeps increasing. Just personally, you know, our team has done a lot, so it'll take time to build that network. So just be patient with it. It's easier when you have somebody like you know, your wife or a spouse who can help sustain those first few months while you have to really go out and network and put your name out there and just wait for somebody to come and say, hey, can you help me? So yeah, be patient would be my other advice, I guess.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Being patient. Well, that is important.
Yeah.
And interesting. 'Cause that's about 6 months and no sale. I think that will bring a lot of discouragement.
Yeah, most realtors fail their first year. It's
Yeah.
a majority. There's a lot. I don't know the statistics. I wish I had that statistic, but most realtors will fail their first year if they try to do it on their own. And so thankfully I had a support system. I had a team, I had a company that was willing to help sustain me with, you know, a base salary. It wasn't crazy, but it was enough for me to make ends meet while I tried to find a network and grow and stuff. So yeah, don't do it by yourself. Make sure you find a mentor, find a company that is going to give you the tools you need to succeed. Yeah.
Well, that's really, really cool. That's really, really cool. We're almost at the end here.
Yeah, sure.
But before I do have to ask one last question,
Yeah.
right? So you said you made your first deal after 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you felt really, really good.
Yeah.
But give us, you know, like the climax of it. Like, you know, what was the most interesting and most important sale you ever made so far?
They're all important.
I know they are, but
They're all important.
they're always like that. There is always that one.
I mean, that first one's big. I mean,
Yeah.
just for me personally to be like, I can do this, you know, like I helped it. It was for my good friends too, Austin and Allie, Benthausen. Shout out to you guys if you're listening.
Nice.
So a couple friends, really good friends in my life, but also go to our church. And those conversations I had with Austin multiple times, and just kind of pitching in his ear. He had just gotten married, you know, been married for a little while. I was like, so when are you going to buy a house? You know, just little questions like that. And he's just like, Thad, we can't afford it. Like, we need like 20% down payment or whatever. And it's like, it's going to take us years to get to that. And I took that as an opportunity. For those of you that follow Dave Ramsey, that's where that 20% down payment comes from. If you do 20% down payment, you can avoid private mortgage insurance. Private mortgage insurance can vary anywhere from $40 a month to $150 a month extra. I won't go into all the details of why and stuff, but that's just why Dave Ramsey says that. But if you put the minimum that you need for a down payment on, well, you can do it. There's different types. So USDA loan, 0% down payment. That was the minimum. You don't have to bring a down payment if it's a rural development. VA loan is 0% down payment. FHA is 3.5% down payment. And conventional is a 5% down payment. And there's other programs like first-time homebuyer programs that will give you 3% down payment, which would mean you only have to bring 0.5% of a down payment, which translates to about $1,000. So that's like all you need to get your foot in the door to a house, plus closing costs. Again, I share all these things just for what his situation was. Closing costs is usually $5,000 to $7,000 on average. We can get those negotiated by the sellers. So I shared all these things with Austin, and Austin goes, wait, so we can get a house for 5% down, not 20% down. And he goes, and I said, yes. And so I was like, let's talk to your bank first, make sure you, like, the payments are okay and that you have the cash in the bank, you know, let's talk to your lender. And so he went and talked to his wife, Allie, and they were just like, you're telling me that we can buy a house right now, and because we have this much saved up. And I was like, yes, like, you can buy a house right now. And they hated renting. They were in a lease for 2 years. They hated renting. And so then they were able to find somebody to take over the lease. So they broke their lease. We ended up finding them a house within a month, and then closed in the house. And they're still there to this day. They have kid now, you know, they're raising their family there, and I get to go to their house every Tuesday. We have coffee in the morning together with some guys there. So that was really cool because, again, my first sale, it was somebody who didn't think they could buy and has now bought a house and has started a family, and I get to be in that house that I helped them sell every single week. And yeah, I love that. So shout out to them. Shout out to Austin and Allie. And those are the moments. I have a lot of similar moments like that. You know, Jackson and Kenzie are another example of someone in the church that I've helped. There's a lot of, the church has kept me going in real estate. They're the reason I'm successful in real estate. There's a lot of network there, which has been awesome. And so, yeah, so that's the highlight for sure. First one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Yeah.
We hope to have you soon at some point.
Yeah.
Talk about more on real estate and maybe more on those sales. Not like a little bit of more of those details.
Yeah, what the USDA means and FHA means. There's a lot of terms I threw out there.
Yeah. And I'm
stuff,
here man, I'm about to finish college. I need to I kind of know at least what this is all about.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy a house real soon, but man,
it's possible.
I want to know.
Yeah,
I want to know. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I do like it. Well, thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Do we want to talk about Monday?
Monday?
Do you want to, what the night's going to hold?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, do we have a couple minutes?
I was almost forgetting. Yeah, let's do that real quick. So,
sure.
Yeah, what should people be expecting
on
Monday?
So Monday, it's a real estate career night, but it's going to be multifaceted, what we're hoping to accomplish on Monday night. So 5:30, we're going to have pizza for everybody. There's going to be salad, there's going to be drinks, just juice and LaCroix stuff. 5:30 start time. There's going to be Gabe Crump from Fairway Mortgage. So he's a mortgage lender in town here, and he's a guy that I use all the time. He's awesome. He loves educating people as well. He's passionate about it. But he's going to talk about the financing side of house stuff. But the three things we want to talk about is number one is just the home buying process, what it looks like to go from, hey, can I buy a house, to you have the keys in your hand. So we want to lay out that process, that roadmap to what it's like to buy a house. We want to talk about the benefits of home ownership as well. And so if you're graduating high school and you're just like, it's not for me, there's opportunities for sure for students to buy a house when they go into college and then live in there and rent instead of renting out an apartment. But also just other opportunities to start building your future in a house after college for people like you, or later on in life. I know some people have different situations, and their first house they don't buy till they're 40, or maybe they don't ever buy a house. Some people just don't want to deal with home ownership. So we'll just talk about some of the benefits that come with home ownership as well. And then the last part we want to talk about, since it is kind of like a career night, is what it's like to have a career as a realtor or in the real estate industry, and how I got my license, what all I had to go through to get my license. And then Gabe will talk about how he became a mortgage lender and all the stuff that he needs to do on all his day-to-day kind of tasks and I guess what a job description. So how he became a mortgage lender and what it's like to be on the financing side of a home buying process. So so how to buy a house, the whole process is, benefits of it, and then what's a career look like if you decided to go that route. It's kind of the summary of the evening. So we'll probably end around 7:00. Depends on how conversation, and a question and answer. So bring some questions. We might not have all the answers right up front, but between the two of us, hopefully we can figure out a potential response to your answer. Yeah.
I already can think of some questions right now.
Yeah. We'll bring them.
And how early can I get started on this? Because it feels like there is no age limit, but is there
18.
age minimum that I should be able to get involved in? What are some of the skills that I need or that I should be working at right now in order to get there?
Sure.
So, But well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being part of this
Thanks
podcast.
for having me on. Appreciate it.
It was awesome. So, guys, see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.